In a memo obtained by ESPN, the NBA is mandating that unvaccinated NBA players will have lockers as far away as possible from vaccinated teammates and will have to eat, fly, and ride buses in different sections. The rules are not final and are subject to ongoing talks with the National Basketball Players Association, but the guidelines make it clear that vaccinated and unvaccinated players will have very different off-court experience during the upcoming season. Here to talk more about these protocols, we have Brian Windhorst and Kendrick Perkins. Brian, how effective do you think these new rules will be?
Yeah, what they're trying to do, look, they cannot get an agreement, as none of the pro sports have, they cannot get an agreement to force all players to get vaccinated. So they're going to make, in addition to have safety, they're going to make life as uncomfortable as possible for players who are not vaccinated. And so, there are testing situations. So unvaccinated players will have to test every day, just like they did last year. Unvaccinated players will not. Players who have close contact with people who are positive for the virus will have to, if you're vaccinated, you won't have to quarantine. You can keep playing if you're negative. If you're not vaccinated, you have to quarantine for 7 days. But the real things where they're trying to make them uncomfortable is, you mentioned the different places they can sit. And let's just start right with the airline situation. Most NBA teams use the same set of charter planes. There's a nice cabin for the players. You and Perk know it well. There's setups just so you can play cards with each other. Well, in this new rules, it says right there in the memo, if you're unvaccinated, you're going to probably have to sit back with the other staff members, which, I know it's not the middle seat in coach, but it is not the same, and there's no card games. So, in a locker room, it's only so big. They can only push you so far away. For a bus, okay, you may have to sit at the front of the bus when all your friends are at the back. But on those 4- and 5-hour flights, if you can't sit in those big comfy seats or be able to fall asleep in the laid-back seating, or more importantly, play poker, you may reconsider that vaccine, and that's one of the things the NBA is doing. And I know you two were known to play a hand of Boo-Ray or two on the planes.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, Brian. We weren't playing poker, but Boo-Ray and Gus were the primary games that we were playing on the plane. But that's another story. RJ didn't indulge, but I was heavily.
Because they were terrible games. They're awful games. They take no skill. But continue.
That's not for us to debate right now. Here's the thing. The NBA is just playing chess right now with the players, okay? And what they're doing right now is they're putting out these guidelines and really saying, hey, look, if you get vaccinated, these are the things that's going to happen for you. If you're not, it's almost somewhat of a punishment, or you're going to have to take a back seat. So what it's telling the NBA players is that, hey, if I'm vaccinated, I have a little bit more leeway. If I'm vaccinated, I get to enjoy the luxury of riding on the front of the plane and being involved with the card games and the team camaraderie. So right now, I just think, yes, they're sending out a memo, but I do think it's a plan behind this memo. I think it's a hidden agenda behind this memo is for more guys to encourage more NBA players to go out there and get the vaccine.
Well, my question to Brian is, okay, so how do they handle the benches? How do they handle the lockers? How do they handle, you talk about bus rides and all, how do you handle that? Because we talk about just the plane flights, but there's so much more going on. And by the way, players are still going out to dinner together, even if they're not riding on the same, bus or sitting at the same table on the plane.
Of course, and they're also playing right next to each other on the court and at practice. Let's not forget that. But when you're under the NBA, rules, when you're, with the team, if you're at a team meal, you're not allowed to sit next to a vaccinated player is not allowed to sit directly next to an unvaccinated player. They have to sit feet apart, and I don't know how they're going to enforce that, but that's what the rule is. As far as the benches go, the benches are going to be returned to normal. There may be some rules about how close certain players are going to be to each other, but those aren't in here. But in general, they're going to try to, frankly, make it almost like, a two-class system in certain ways, vaccinated and unvaccinated.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.